That's it. I'm just gonna say it. The Rolex Datejust is the best Rolex you can buy in the current catalog, and I dare you to try and change my mind. Let's go. Over the last 5 or more years, when it comes to Rolex, the market or conversation is almost always fixated on Rolex professional models, like the Submariner, Daytona, and GMT-Master II, and that's fine, like I get it. They're very good watches that have a rather rich lore and heritage. But that being said, despite those watches being very good, I think the Datejust is great, and actually the greatest modern Rolex you can buy today. Now, don't rage respond to my hypothesis just yet in the comments. Let me explain why first. But before I make my case, let's recap the origins of the Datejust and its modern spec of today. The Datejust was first introduced in 1945, 11 years before Rolex introduced the day-date in 1956. The original 36mm size would remain the core and largest Datejust you could buy until 2009, when Rolex introduced a 41mm variant. Now, unlike collections like Cellini, which would prove so hit or miss it was eventually discontinued, the Datejust has remained a staple of the Rolex catalog since its introduction 80 years ago. It has become such a familiar face to spot on the wrists of friends, family, and pedestrians, and is largely associated with a sense of success, achievement, and milestone, a symbol that you've made it in some way. Now, look, obviously I'm partial to the Datejust, considering the Datejust 36 reference 126234, I have in my hands or on my wrist here, is a very near and dear watch to me in my collection because I associate the model with my grandfather, his one go-to watch throughout my childhood, and the watch I credit for me becoming interested in this horological world. Then again, the ubiquity of the model and the many grandsons who can say the Datejust was their grandfather's watch, well, the grandpa watch element may be working against the Datejust in the modern era. We'll circle back to this later, but now let's do a quick spec check. This stainless steel Datejust 36 with a bright blue dial, white gold fluted bezel, and Jubilee bracelet is practically a time capsule, though these modern Datejusts are much more robust than the vintage ones. But the 36mm diameter is identical to the original Datejust that debuted in 1945, and it measures 11.6mm thick and about 43.5mm lug to lug. The entirety of the 100-meter water-resistant case is executed in a polished finish, with mixed finishes introduced by the bracelet, which, by the way, has Rolex's EasyLink extension system that allows you to effectively add or remove a length of about half a link on the fly. And inside you have a 70-hour in-house 32-35 caliber, the same caliber you would find in a Submariner date, and it's regulated to a superlative chronometer standard of plus or minus 2 seconds per day. Okay, so why is the Datejust the best Rolex you can buy today? Well, firstly, I would point out its aesthetic variety. Personally, I think the 36 is the best size as the original size. In the same way a tank is meant to be small and a big pilot is meant to be big, this classy Datejust design just looks best in its mid-size. But that's just my personal opinion. Anyone who disagrees with me is not beholden to the 36 because you also have 31mm and 41mm options in the catalog, and even a 28mm model if you include the Lady Datejust. So you really have a size for everyone. Material-wise, you may be surprised to hear that the Datejust, historically speaking at least, is not super common in full precious metal. The jump to a day-date is where full precious metal really enters the mix. But in the current catalog, you across all sizes can opt for full oyster steel, white Rolesor like this model with a steel case, white gold fluted bezel, and a steel bracelet, yellow Rolesor with a steel case, yellow gold crown, yellow gold domed or fluted bezel, and a steel and yellow gold bracelet, and Everrose Rolesor, which follows the same format as the yellow Rolesor, but with rose gold. You can also opt for diamond set bezels across all 3 sizes and 4 metal configurations, and even diamond set dials. Which, let's talk about the dials. So dial-wise, there's a ton to explore as well, with fan favorites like My Bright Blue, Mint Green, Black, Silver, and White, and other options such as pink, purple, champagne, and more. There's so much to choose from. And each size and material configuration has a different total number of dial options, but my white Rolesor 36, for example, has 12 different dial options. Bracelet-wise, you have the famed Oyster or Jubilee bracelet options. Both are fantastic, but I personally preach the rule of dome bezel models look best on an Oyster bracelet, and a fluted bezel or diamond set bezel, which I don't have, will look best on the Jubilee. Do you agree with that rule? Let me know in the comments, but that seems to be like a widely held rule. And it's worth noting that the jump from an Oyster bracelet to a Jubilee will add about around $100 US more to the final price tag. So with all this variety, the Datejust 36 ranges from $7,550 US in Oyster steel on an Oyster bracelet with a domed steel bezel to $24,250 in Everrose Rolesor with a diamond set bezel and a mother of pearl diamond set dial. So you've got like varying levels of entry and commitment. By no means is the Datejust an inexpensive watch. I mean, that's quite a lofty starting price for most people in the world, but you can sort of scale your level of investment, whether you want to go towards the entry of around 8,000 or towards the higher end of 24,000. The world's your oyster. But perhaps more important than the price, such variety is what ultimately affords the Datejust something the professional models like a Submariner do not: a sense of being tailor-made for you. Whereas your steel sub is basically only available in black, and when you wear one, you are just one of many wearing the exact same watch, a Datejust, depending on the configuration, can feel much more you and less common. So that's an advantage if you see it that way. I certainly do. And to be fair, versatility really is the core to my argument here, as the second point I want to make hones in on a term I coined: robust elegance. Like I said before, the Datejust, at least in 36 and 41, utilized the very same 32-35 movement found in a Rolex Submariner date. It's a 100-meter water-resistant watch with a robust superlative chronometer movement. So on that front, you have all the characteristics of a proper daily sports watch. But aesthetically, you have at a minimum something rather smart casual with a domed bezel oyster bracelet configuration, or verging on formal with a fluted bezel and jubilee bracelet configuration. Nobody's actually going to grab their pitchforks or light their torches in a riotous rage upon seeing someone wear a Submariner with a suit, but whereas a Submariner is a bit forced with such a wardrobe, a Datejust in any style is a true beach and boardroom watch. It goes with any outfit and can handle pretty much anything a Submariner can from a stress standpoint, unless you're actually planning on taking a Rolex down to 300 meters, in which case the Datejust will fail. I've worn mine though, vacationing in Aruba, swimming in the ocean with it during the day, and later wearing it in the evening at a white tablecloth steakhouse dinner. So in my opinion, this really is the Gata Daddy. Please don't turn me into a meme. For my third and final point, in the hype horology economy, the scarcity of Rolex at retail has long plagued discourse. But while everyone has been fixated on the Daytona, Submariner, and GMT-Master II, the Datejust has somewhat taken a backseat, as I have said earlier. But that is what makes the retail experience so much better, because you can actually have one. I picked up my Datejust 36 Bright Blue in September of 2021, around 6 months after I placed my order and deposit. And this is exactly what I was quoted. So this is a breath of fresh, transparent air compared to the enigmatic dance you face with something like a Pepsi or the yellow OP36 that was discontinued years after I registered my interest, and I never heard back in the years leading up to its discontinuation, nor after, to say, hey, we're so sorry we didn't get this to you. But look, the Datejust, it's not a hype Rolex, and it doesn't have a huge secondary market premium, if at all. It holds enough value for you to get your money back should you ever wish to, and since it doesn't have such a crazy premium, there is less allure for thieves to nick it compared to a Daytona that will sell for 3 times as much. But I can see that any Rolex with its flash is certainly gonna catch the eye on that front. But let's run it back. So while yes, the Datejust can seem a bit basic and straightforward as a choice of Rolex, the grandpa Rolex, no real hype or glamour, it's not so bland when you consider it is, or among, the most configurable Rolex in the current catalog, that you have plenty of color to explore along with material and bracelet options. It has the advantage of seamlessly being worn in any situation, casual or formal, without feeling out of place. And despite its classiness, it's just about as robust as its professional collection siblings. You cannot go wrong with the Datejust, in my opinion, and that's why I think it is the best Rolex watch you can buy from the brand today. Okay, so you now have my permission to tear me apart in the comments or throw me your support in the comments. I hope you do that. But I'm eager to hear either way what you think, but if you're gonna tear me a new one, I'll allow it on one condition. And that condition is that you hit that subscribe button so you can be apprised of all our latest watch reviews, news, and content. And as always, I'll see you on the next one.